A person's greatness is often shaped by the kind of thoughts they carry. This timeless principle has been proven again and again through the lives of countless successful people, individuals like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and Jeff Bezos. In his legendary book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But if that's true, then why do so many people never reach success? Is it because they don't think about their dreams? Or do they simply fail to recognize their own hidden potential? Today's story will help you uncover the answers to those questions and teach you a deep life lesson. Along the way, you'll also pick up a few new English expressions to enrich your vocabulary. So stay with me till the end. I promise this story will be worth your time. In a crowded railway station lived a poor beggar who depended on the kindness of travelers. Every day he sat near the ticket counter, stretching out his hand and hoping for a few coins from the passengers. One afternoon, while he was doing his usual rounds, he noticed a sharply dressed gentleman walking across the platform. The man's neat suit, polished shoes, and confident walk caught the beggar's attention. "This man looks very rich," the beggar thought. "If I ask him, maybe he'll give me a big amount." Filled with hope, he quickly approached the businessman and extended his hand. But to his surprise, the man didn't take out his wallet. Instead, he looked at the beggar calmly and asked, "Do you always just take from others? Have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar froze. He had never been asked such a question before. His voice trembled as he replied, "Sir, I am only a beggar. I have nothing to give. I live on what people offer me." The businessman smiled gently and said, "If you believe you have nothing to offer, then you also have no right to receive anything. I'm a businessman, and I live by the rule of exchange. Give and take. If you have something to offer, I'll gladly give you something in return. But if you have nothing to give, then I cannot give you either." With that, he boarded his train and left. The beggar stood there motionless. Those words kept echoing in his mind. He had begged for years, but no one had ever spoken to him like that. He wasn't rude, the beggar thought, but he told me something no one ever dared to say. For the first time in his life, he began to wonder, maybe this is why people rarely give me much, because I give them nothing in return. That night, lying on the cold floor of the station, he couldn't sleep. The businessman's words kept circling in his mind. If you wish to receive, you must first give. But what could a beggar possibly offer? He had no money, no possessions, no job. The thought haunted him for 2 days. He didn't even ask anyone for coins. On the third day, while sitting quietly near the tracks, something unusual caught his attention. A cluster of wild flowers blooming between the stones. Their bright colors stood out beautifully against the dull gray of the railway, and then an idea suddenly struck him like lightning. What if I give these flowers to people when they give me money? What if, instead of just taking, I offer them something small in return? Excited, he picked a few flowers carefully, cleaned them, and went back to his usual spot. When the next traveler dropped a coin into his hand, he smiled warmly and gave the person a flower. To his surprise, the traveler's face lit up. They smiled back, thanked him, and walked away happily. Soon, more people began to notice the beggar who gave flowers. Some even came forward just to buy one. Over the next few days, something remarkable happened. His earnings started to grow. He realized that as long as he had flowers, people gave generously. But whenever his basket was empty, the coins stopped coming. So it's true, he thought. People like to give when they receive something of value. Weeks passed, and the beggar's new habit became his routine. He was no longer the same man who only waited for pity. He was now thinking like someone who wanted to create value. One morning, while offering flowers, he saw a familiar face. It was the same businessman sitting near the train window. The beggar's heart raced. He rushed forward and said eagerly, "Sir, today I have something to offer. If you give me money, I will give you these flowers in return." The businessman smiled proudly, handed him some cash, and accepted the flowers. "You've learned the true art of exchange," he said kindly. "You are no longer a beggar. You are now a businessman." The train soon departed, but his words stayed behind. The man looked down at the flowers in his hand and whispered to himself, "A businessman. Am I really one now?" He thought deeply, and then realization struck him. He was a businessman. People weren't donating money anymore. They were buying something he offered. That day, he made a bold decision. He gathered his little savings, left the station, and promised never to beg again. Months went by. The railway station remained as busy as ever, with new faces every day. One sunny afternoon, two well-dressed men met at the platform. They shook hands and began to talk. One of them suddenly paused and said, "Excuse me, but you look familiar. Have we met before?" The other man smiled. "Yes," he said. "We've met twice, right here. The first time, you refused to give me anything. The second time, you bought flowers from me." The businessman blinked in disbelief. "Wait, you were the beggar? The one who used to sit here?" The man laughed warmly. "Yes, that was me. But today I run my own flower business. I'm actually traveling to expand it in another city." The businessman was astonished. "That's unbelievable. What caused such a change?" The flower seller smiled and replied, "It was your question. You made me realize something I had never seen before, that we only receive when we give. That day I understood that I was never just a beggar. I was always a businessman, but I needed to start seeing myself as one." The two men shook hands once again, but this time as equals. Then they boarded their respective trains, each moving toward a new chapter of life. The story of the beggar teaches us a powerful truth. Life changes the moment we change how we see ourselves. If you think of yourself as weak or helpless, you'll remain that way. But if you see yourself as capable, valuable, and deserving of success, the world will begin to respond differently. The beggar didn't wait for luck. He changed his mindset, and everything around him changed too. So remember, what you think, you become. When your thoughts evolve, your destiny transforms with them. Every person carries within them the power to rise, to build, and to achieve greatness. All it takes is a shift in how you think.